To start on time. It is 10:01. My name is Chris McLeod. I'm the director of OLLI at Duke. We have several guests with us today who are going to be helping us, provide you with the best preparation we know to get ready to teach in our OLLI community, whether that's in person and online. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And always play with this box a little bit, but Alan Teasley is our chair of instructor relations. He's joining us today, as well as Ruth Cacavalli and Mitch Friedman, who are OLLI instructors. Ruth has been teaching for us for more than a few years, and Mitch is relatively new. He'll be teaching his third class this fall. So what we'd like you to do is to go around and introduce yourself, share your name, the title of your course, where you're dialing in from, and particularly if you're teaching in person or online. That's very helpful to Alan in terms of knowing how to shape his remarks. So let's go. Vicki Taylor, if you would start. Just make sure you unmute yourself.
Yeah, great to see you all. I'm a new instructor. This is the first time I will have been participating with OLLI. One of my partners at RIF, Suzanne Fetcher, has already done some programs. You may all know Suzanne. And I'm going to be joined with co-instructor Colin Quashie, who I was just sending a note to. I'm not sure he's going to be able to join us this morning, but if not, I understand this will be recorded and I'll make sure that I share it with him. The title of the course is Shift, Making Art from Life's Transitions. I think that was the final title. We changed it a few times. And I apologize, while I was texting Colin, I may have missed. What else did you want me to mention?
So you've told the name of your course. Where are you logging in from? And is it an in-person or online course?
Thanks, sorry. So I'm logging in from Troutman, North Carolina, which is a little town on Lake Norman between Statesville and Mooresville, if you know that. And we'll be running the program virtually.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Vicki. Michael Schwabe, if you would introduce yourself. Thank you.
Well, you got the name right. A lot of people get that wrong right off the bat. It is Michael Schwabe. I'm going to be teaching a course on portrait photography. This will be the first time I've taught at OLLI. I'm a retired professor of sociology from NC State and also a documentary photographer for many years. I live in Chapel Hill, so that's where I'm logging in from, and I'll be teaching my course in person this fall.
Okay, super. Thank you. Mark Leach.
Well, so my course title is Handwork in the Digital Age, and I'm actually going to be pretty radical and pull content in from the medical community, like actually suturing and weaving and all kinds of things, because I think there's a real connection between all of them, and we tend to compartmentalize things. And I'd rather have people see the value in handwork, generally speaking, among other things. I'm dialing in today from Matthews. Mine is going to be a virtual course, and I'll be doing it either from Matthews or St. Louis, where we also live, and where my wife is the CEO of the St. Louis Society for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Excellent. Wonderful. Thank you. Nancy Capaccio.
Hi, Nancy Capaccio. I'm currently in Wilmington, North Carolina, not Tahiti. but possibly equally nice. I am going to be teaching the class in person, and it's I live in Durham, and the class is on playback theater. I don't remember what I called it. I might have called it playback theater. It's a form of improvisation that's used to build community and create greater empathy among attendees. Yes.
Excellent. That's great. Margaret Anderson, if you would unmute yourself and introduce yourself. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Margaret Anderson, and I'm going to be teaching Tease Out the Story. I think that's what's called, something like that, about narrative, writing a narrative. I'm a former librarian, and I live in Durham, and I'm hoping to teach it in person.
That's our plan.
Yeah.
Great. Claire Williams.
Hi, I'm new to OLLI, obviously, and I work as a research professor at American University in DC, and I live in Chapel Hill, and I'm not going back to American to teach. I'm transitioning into their OLLI program one semester, and then I'll shift over to a more local OLLI. I also teach OLLI at NC State, and I teach the same course in all three venues. I teach Air We Breathe, which has a component of atmospheric biology, science appreciation, and then it ends with how to coexist with the microorganisms that live in your house. So I am a retired professor or retiring professor. I live in Chapel Hill, as I mentioned, and my class is going to be online.
Excellent. Wonderful, Claire. Welcome.
Thank you.
Let's see. I think that covered everyone who's here. All right. We will get underway. So this is just a brief overview of what we're going to cover. Alan Teasley is going to help me cover all these different topics, but we'll get underway. I just want to give you a little bit of national context for those of you who are new, which is most of you. This just gives you a little bit of an idea. The Osher Lifelong Learning Institute is a national network, and we're one of 125. Our membership has dropped significantly during COVID, but we have increased the number of Duke alumni. One of the things that I think is really important is to make sure you know that our members, 72% of our members have a graduate degree. And I think this is really important. One of the things we find, particularly when we include instructors from other OLLIs, they don't always appreciate how different our membership is sometimes from other areas. It isn't that different from Washington or from Raleigh, but there are OLLIs all over the country, and they all have very different cultures and course offerings. We just recently, Nancy Capazio just did an outstanding member survey for us, where we, asked all our members to fill out really almost a 15 to 18-minute survey. And we were given a number of suggestions for ways we could improve classes. So in the spirit of providing you just-in-time information, I've highlighted a few of those items here. I'm not going to read them to you because that's something we don't like our instructors to do, is to read PowerPoint to our classes. One of the ways that we've been working, I would say since I arrived 4 years ago, is really to try to foster a culture of kindness and compassion. And I think this comes naturally to most of our members, but there is a culture of critiquing, and sometimes in my experience, I find folks who are newly retired often have some challenges in working with our staff. And often that comes out of either it's a new environment, they haven't started a new role in a long time, and there's some anxiety. But this code of conduct is for all members of our community. It's for our members, our staff, and our instructors. And I will tell you, we have not had any issues during COVID. We have incredible amount of appreciation and gratitude among our members. But I share this with you because this is really, the basis on which we can have conversations with members who aren't participating in a way that's conducive to building community in your class. And sometimes there can be a member or two that tend to dominate the conversation. And our members are looking for instructors to take the lead in managing that. So, but if you have any issues at all, please reach out to me. I'm glad to be a sounding board. If necessary, I can intervene with a student, but often I find just a conversation, we can do some joint problem solving to make sure it doesn't sour the experience of other members. I think we've covered that. Just to highlight a few issues, key dates. We will have registration later this month. things historically happen pretty quickly, and in terms of the in-person classes and smaller classes fill up. And I'll talk to you a little bit about wait lists in a minute, but this gives you an idea of some key dates. I want to bring your attention to makeup classes. If you have to cancel a class for any reason, here are the different contact folks. We do ask that all makeup courses happen at the same day and time during the week following Thanksgiving. It's usually the first week after the end of the term that we schedule makeups. This is something that helps our members plan, and increases the likelihood that everyone will be able to attend. For those of you teaching in person, we often have severe weather, not so much in the fall, but in the winter. And this just gives you an idea of how we make those decisions, and mostly following, the lead of Durham Public Schools for in-person. Every once in a while, we'll have an instructor who will lose their internet 10 minutes before class due to a really bad storm, that type of thing. Again, you would want to reach out to Bettina Huntwork, who runs online. We'll share this PowerPoint with you after the fact so you can have this information available. But you're always welcome to reach out to me, Kathy, or Bettina if you have questions. In-person classes meet at Judea Reform, and most of you, I think, know where that's located. It is in the educational building, and we will be hosting an AV training right before classes start, so you'll get a chance to visit the facility. Just reminding everybody that all instructors and members will be masked, and the classrooms have been set up to facilitate some physical distancing. We are, requiring vaccination, but we're following the lead of Judea Reform, and we won't be checking vaccination. It's an honor system. But instructors will be wearing a mask along with a microphone to ensure that all our participants are able to hear them. I have to bring your attention to the fact that we do not have a copier at JRC. This has something to do, we have moved our administrative offices to Judea Reform, but there are issues with Duke security and being on the network that prevent us from being able to have a copier in our building. So if you plan to have handouts, you can make copies, at home or at Kinko's, FedEx Kinko's, and bring them with you. But we won't be able to help you last minute. So one of the most important things is how to handle wait lists. We have a lot of students who are very good at lobbying and calling instructors or emailing them and asking, will plead their case on why they need to take Art 3 because they were in Art 1 and 2. And it's critical to understand that as instructors, you cannot offer a wait list spot in person or online. And it's important that we don't let unregistered students attend, because when we have wait lists, we tend to accept the first person on the wait list. We give them 3 days to register, and then we roll and accept the next one on the list. And that makes sure everything is fair. I will tell you from day one, we do not play favorites. We do not let folks jump. We really try, we really keep it fair, because it's a very slippery slope with our members. So we'll talk a little bit about the instructor portal, but that's the main vehicle that you will use to email your students and send materials virtually. For your online or in-person classes. You'll be able to see who's in your class 3 weeks before your first class meet. Some of you have classes that are starting midterm. A very common source of confusion the first week is students think we're going to send out their Zoom links. The Zoom links are actually available to you and to our students in their portal, the student portal, and for you in your instructor portal. And if anyone reaches out to you asking for you to send them the link, we ask you not to do that. It creates a number of issues because sometimes the links are wrong. And just refer them to OLLI at Duke because we monitor that real time, really all day during the business day. So we can help them more quickly than anyone else. So this gives you an idea of how to get to the instructor portal. There's some really excellent instructions on this particular website, the OLLI at Duke online, and I'm gonna bring that site up. Well, I'm gonna bring that site up. Excuse me. How's this? For some reason. Alan, do you want to jump in for a minute while I pull this up?
Jump in. Oh, well, hi, everybody. Sorry, my voice is a little scratchy. I came back from vacation with a little something extra, and I'm recovering well, but I don't usually sound this much like Lauren Bacall. I just add my words of welcome and assure you that all the things that Chris is and I are talking about today are on a website with instructor information, and including some recordings of past instructions. Howard Koslow, my predecessor as instructor relations chair, has made detailed links to certain parts of certain videos, went to talk about how to access the instructor portal, for example. And there's, you can, yeah, that's it.
Okay. So, thank you, Alan. This is a very valuable website for instructors, moderators, and gives you some really good information. It includes videos, it includes screenshots. So one of the things that is really helpful is to go to the instructor link, and it tells you actually here how to log into the instructor portal. And you can watch a video or you can go through these steps, and it actually, allows you to log in. And if you have password issues, it kind of walks you through those particular steps. But almost everything you need to know in terms of how to find your instructor course link, having a guest speaker checklist, how to send email using the instructor portal, how to update your Zoom, that type of thing. Another valuable site, well, we'll talk about that. Alan will talk about the instructor training when we get to that point later. Excuse me. Okay. Sorry. Sorry. Okay. Okay, are we on your slides? Your slide yet? Oh, okay. Student feedback. One of the things that's really important is giving students a chance midterm to provide you some real-time feedback. We will be sending emails to all your students. This is administered by our staff that give you some feedback. Invite your students to provide feedback. It is anonymous. The report goes immediately to the instructors. The OLLI office has no reason to review it. But this happens for courses that are 6 weeks or longer, and it can give you an idea of things that students are interested in hearing a little bit more about, or about pace, that type of thing. One of the areas that's really important is the end of course feedback. It's administered very similarly, but the reports are shared with instructors, area chairs, and and me. And we typically, review them at the end of the term. Our experience and belief about this is feedback is a gift for everybody. And I can tell you, I get lots of it in my job. And we really consider this to be lifelong learning for everyone, not just our members and staff, instructors in particular. And it's really why I think a lot of our instructors really enjoy teaching for OLLI, because every time, they teach a course, they're getting valuable feedback from members and moderators and staff.
Chris, could I add something real
Yes.
quickly about feedback? Because you can also at any point ask your students what's going well. and I've done this at every first session also. And then the final question of the day is, what could I do that would make it even better for you as a learner? And then if you're online, they can put that in Zoom and you can read it later. You don't have to have them say it. If it's in person, it usually doesn't take very long at all. And you have them frame it as a suggestion for improvement, not as, and you don't have to do it because there might be a reason you can't do it. But it is a way of engaging them, not only in the content of your course, but in the teaching of the course itself.
Excellent point, Alan. And I apologize, I neglected to introduce Beth Anderson, who is our curriculum chair. He's also joining us this morning and has been really involved in developing, all the programs to help bring you online and prepare you to be successful. Do you have any questions at this point before we shift to Alan's portion of the program? Nancy, and then Vicki.
Yes, the question is about physical distancing. Is it supposed to be 6 feet or 3 feet?
Well, I would say right now, I think everyone will be wearing a mask in your class. So I think, Duke is not getting that specific. They've really left a lot of judgment up to our office and how these are implemented at this point. And we are waiting for some updated guidance. Duke is shifting from a more, infection control approach to a more endemic and how we can adapt and deal with everything that's going on. So I expect to get some further guidance in the next 2 weeks. Vicki and then Bettina.
A basic question regarding the portal and the website. So I was just looking over the old emails, and there's a number of links to, the application or the intent to teach and different links, the instructor. But is there a basic website to always go to that I can then find where the portal is, where the instructor instructions are and all those things? And what is that? I don't seem to have that.
Okay, so the instructor portal is the learnmore.duke.edu. Alan, you want to?
Well, there's two different things I heard, Chris. One was the instructor portal, which is your official link into all the information about your courses and your students and so forth. A way to send a message to all of them to their email. The way to find out your Zoom link, and the way your students will go through the student portal to get the same kind of information. And then there's also the link for training and for resources for instructors. Was that what you were asking about?
Well, what I was wondering is there an overarching one that I can go to either one of those, or are they different websites?
They're different websites right now.
They're
And
different.
Bettina put both of them in the chat. The reason is the OLLI at Duke Online was something a volunteer, Howard Koslow, created for us during COVID. It's actually basically technically that's not what we're supposed to do at Duke, but we all did a lot of things we weren't supposed to do coping for COVID. So, but it is a really outstanding resource, and we understand there are OLLI instructors from other locations that are, looking to for something like that. Just as a footnote, we will be updating our Learn More website sometime in the next year. We have a brand new associate provost, and there are plans to do that. We do have a very a not so, current website, and we appreciate your patience with it, but that's why we have multiple websites.
Okay, no, that's fine. So I can use one or the other depending on what I need. Thank you.
Yeah, Bettina.
Hello, I'm Bettina. I'm in charge of the online side of OLLI at Duke. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me. I just wanted to clarify something Chris just said about the feedback. She said that the links would be emailed, and they're not. They're in
Oh,
the
sorry.
student portal. They're right underneath where the Zoom link to class would be. It would be the Zoom link. And then if you have your website, your course website, you can email me that and I can put it in the student portal for your students as well. And then under that, you'll see early term feedback and then final term or end of term feedback. And the early term feedback becomes available on the 3rd week of class. And the final end of course feedback becomes available on the last week of class. So they're there and they're grayed out until they become available. So that is a confusion topic for most of our students, and there is instructions on the link that I just put in chat as well. But I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you, Bettina. Part of the challenges, and one of the reasons students, and including the director, are confused is we've been changing how we've been doing surveys. And I think thanks to the resourcefulness of Bettina and familiarity with our course software, we're getting more efficient at it, and we're doing the best we can to get you more timely and detailed feedback. So thank you for jumping in. Kathy Parrish is also on this call. If Bettina's my right hand, Kathy's my left hand, or vice versa. Kathy will be processing all your instructor contracts and honoraria for those of you who requested one. So she's a great resource for that. Other questions? Nancy.
I'm anticipating sending out a welcoming introduction email to students in advance of the class starting, and probably also asking them for a bit of their background, because I'm doing theater. Is that customary? Do I need to be concerned about anything?
The most important thing is to wait until really just a few days before your course starts, because people will be registering through the end of the first week of class. And one of the things that happens is instructors are really excited and they want to email everybody, 2 days after registration. And that's fine as long as you go back and send the same message to those who registered after that time. Okay. You'll be able to see the registration date, but it creates a lot of confusion and sometimes gets things off to a bumpy start if half your class has received the message and the other half haven't. So that is the request from a staff perspective. I'd also ask you to consider how you ask for about people's experience. I learned during COVID, we had an instructor who was asking people for their CVs, and that is not allowed. I mean, this is a lifelong learning program. There are no requirements, but I think you will find it's a really helpful question because it helps you know who is in the room. And one of the most important feedback we got from your survey, as you know, was that our members really enjoy learning as much from each other as they do the instructor. And so we have some instructors who will talk right up until 5 minutes before the class ends and then say, do you have any questions? And we really encourage instructors to stop along the way and facilitate discussion and allow. This way, if you welcome people in advance and ask about their experience, it gives them a chance to share their area of expertise. And we've seen beautiful examples where the instructors really invited people to share their experience of a particular architectural building or that type of thing.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Very helpful.
Okay. All right, why don't we go back to the presentation and we will Alan will take it from here.
Yeah, I would note that Chris used the question slide. So I've trained myself in my courses to do that at least twice during the class and once at the end at certain junctures. And sometimes there are no questions and you just move on. So this is going to be the section on training, and I'm trying to keep in my mind that there are two groups of trainers here, those that are doing in-person and those that are doing online, i.e. Zoom. And also within that, some required training and then some recommended training. And for the first group, the in-person instructors, required is to review the instructor checklist. So Chris, could you click on that word here?
Yes, I've got to, we
Okay.
figured out we have to do it actually from the slide. And I'll reshare.
And one of the things I would say when I was looking at these, because I've been an online Zoom instructor only since March 2020. I was teaching 2 classes in person when we had to suspend classes. And there you go. That's the online instructors. So there should be, it's a different document for the, it's a much shorter one for, never mind. Let's just go back to the PowerPoint, Chris. But,
Okay.
but
You don't want to go to in-person or?
yeah, there you go. That's perfect. I wanted to show you just how short this is in person, folks. And so you can see the, for teaching in person at JRC, these are the guidelines for COVID protocols, review those. Learn how to use the instructor portal. See, that's it. And over here, I don't want you to check these, Chris, don't. But when I did, if you go to the video, it'll go to a YouTube video and it goes to the precise point in the video where that topic is. And if you don't want to watch the video, but just want to review the slides, you click slides and that will give you the PowerPoint that the person was talking from. So that all tributes to Howard Koslow who put that together. And we'll come back to this one for the, let's go back to the PowerPoint and then we'll, yeah, there you go. Thanks, Chris. So, nope, back one slide. So the JRC AV training, which we'll see when we come to the calendar, that is also the required thing for all new and returning instructors. And that's because we want you to learn to use the new microphones and the AV equipment. And you will be able to practice in your actual assigned classroom and see what the seating arrangement is and so forth. Kathy, do you want to add anything to that, Kathy Parrish, about the JRC in-person or the AV training? If not.
No, I think it's covering all. It's just very important to make sure that everyone shows up. And what we did last term also, if they were not going to be able to make it to the scheduled training, that we would reschedule with them later that week or something, just to give them, we want them to go through their course at least once to make sure everything works perfectly.
Right. Okay.
Thanks. Alan.
Okay. And so the next slide, Chris. So now online instructors, and look at the checklist for the online instructors. Again, this would be, we require you to look at the checklist. And I noticed when you were introducing yourself that a lot of people have Zoom experience. So I'm sure when you look at the checklist, you'll just go down the list and not see very much that you need to review. But we still want to
Can someone mute? Yeah, okay, great.
So did you, if you clicked on that, we can't see that checklist.
Oh, I'm
Chris.
sorry. I thought it was doing it in real time. My apologies.
There you go. So that's the parallel version for online. And again, there's ways to check your, it's a lot about Zoom. So again, the more experience you have with Zoom, the more you'll just read the checklist.
Okay.
Okay, that's sufficient for now.
Okay.
Thanks.
Nancy, did you have a question?
Yeah.
You're muted.
Yes, thank you. I'm told that that desks are like stapled to the floor, which could just be a rumor. Do I have to be concerned about desks in my room? It's a very specific question.
I think we should talk offline on that. You
Thank
can
you.
give me a call and I'll look up which classroom you're located in and we'll discuss it. Yeah,
Thank you so much.
great. Okay.
So there's a one-on-one prep and check session that is also required of new online instructors, and that's just to make sure that everything's okay with your Zoom link and you have sufficient bandwidth and that kind of thing. And you would sign up for a time slot by going to that link. And I'm not going to do that. Maybe Bettina could put the link in the chat for that, because when I looked at it last night, I noticed that a number of you had already signed up for a slot for that. So I won't spend any more time on that. And then the 1 week before the term starts, there will be a rehearsal. And one of the great things about teaching with Zoom online with OLLI at Duke is that there is a 3-person team. There's a staff person like Kathy or Bettina. There is a moderator, and there's you. And that 3-person team I found it really valuable. And that will be an opportunity for your team to meet each other and talk about, if I were you as an instructor, I would come to that rehearsal with your first session's plan, and then go through every different version of technology you're going to access during that class and practice going from PowerPoint to YouTube or PowerPoint to audio clip and that kind of thing. And you will have time to do that. It will occur at the same time that your class occurs. So if you have a 9 o'clock Tuesday class, your class rehearsal will be 9 o'clock Tuesday. And you can practice all of those transitions.
One thing I just want to mention is, one of the things that's worked really well is that many of our instructors have used the OLLI staff and the moderator as a sounding board. They tend to, especially the first few weeks of class, they debrief at the end of the class and they talk about what worked well, what could work better next time. And I think you'll find that they have really good insights and ideas and strategies for engaging members. It is always your prerogative whether or not to act on that feedback, but we found it creates a sense of incredible support and resources. So we encourage you to see our staff and our moderators as a resource.
Yeah, at a minimum, in a lecture class, the moderator will monitor the chat and relay questions to you so that you can keep your attention on what you're saying. And then, but I've also used the moderator to tally polls when we did these quick online polls, answer yes or no to this question, that kind of thing. And but in that time beforehand, as Chris said, I've often said, I want to check the volume on this because it sounds low to me. How does it sound to you? And they'll say, it sounds fine, or no, it's really low. And we troubleshoot to figure out what's going on with that. Because believe it or not, not everything works how you think it might be gonna work. Okay. There is next week, there's another session for all new instructors that we recommend, and it'll also be for returning instructors, called Ready, Set, Teach. Sort of last minute things to think about with your class. And there is, if you haven't been doing slide presentations on Zoom, there's a recording called Best Practices for Slide Presentations. Again, this is not required, this is just recommended. Okay, next slide, Chris. And this is the calendar. So today you see the 11th, this is where we are. Ready, Set, Teach is next Wednesday, the 17th at 1 o'clock. And that link will go out to all fall instructors early next week. Registration is the 23rd and 24th. And then the instructor one-on-one prep and check sessions are the things you go to that online sign up for a time slot kind of thing. And that can be anytime between the 24th and the 1st of September. The JRC AV in-person training is there on the 7th, Wednesday, the 7th of September at 10 a.m. And if you can't make that, then you would make other arrangements with Kathy. And then the online rehearsals and team introductions for the new, for everybody actually occurs during this week of the 6th, but it's required for new instructors. And then the fall term starts the 12th. And we're off and running to November 17th.
Bettina.
I just wanted to chime in real quick. I teach Zoom basics for members, and that is going to be August 25th at 10 a.m. Last time I did this, we had lots of instructors come. So if you want to join me, you're welcome to. But I just wanted to throw it out there. It's really geared towards walking through the toolbar of Zoom, some super basic things. But if you're interested in what our members actually know how to do on Zoom, it's a good opportunity for you to see that.
Oh, and if I may add too, sometimes what worked on Zoom last week doesn't work this week because
Exactly.
they updated it and improved it. They improved it right out of your 40-minute free, whatever. I'll be good. Okay, I guess the next thing is questions about training. And the last thing I'd say about training, and this is something Chris said in a meeting yesterday, is that our training and our sessions for instructors is not just a way of improving skills. It's also a way of building community, and you'll find out some good ideas from other instructors. I've learned some really great techniques from other instructors. Okay.
Okay.
Can I ask a quick question? You said you're going to send us all these slides, right?
Yes. So I think Ruth, did we talk, Alan, are you covering this part, course moderators?
I wasn't planning to. I certainly could.
Okay. I'm debating. I can't remember which slides I gave Ruth. I apologize. I'll go ahead and cover course moderators. This is a new addition course that happened during COVID. Is we solicit volunteers. Beth Anderson works very closely with Chris Abrams, one of our lead volunteers, to match OLLI members to instructors. They help facilitate the conversation before the class starts. We find it's very helpful to get the members talking before class begins, so they're used to seeing themselves on camera and just used to speaking up, and it makes the class a lot more engaging. It is also what we've learned really separates us from our other online learning providers like Greatest Courses, which is a passive, video streaming, courses of like 40 sessions, but it's all on demand as opposed to live. And there isn't the chance to engage with instructors or the other class participants. So the moderator plays a really good role, important role in engaging our members. They will attend the rehearsal with you and share observations about the class and support you, in any way that's can be helpful. We do ask that all our instructors manage their own PowerPoint. And I think that was made clear before you actually applied to teach, but wanted to just review that. One of the things that I think has really been fun is we have moved our instructor lunches to online coffee and conversations events in the last 2 years. So there are recordings for several of these on the instructor website that will give you a chance to see how we've addressed other topics. Sometimes it's Zoom technology and engagement strategies for engagement. Other times it's, how to structure your course. We did one more recently on the member survey and specific feedback that our members had about instructors and the way courses were taught. Right now, we're not hosting instructor lunches. We hope to get back to that sometime in the spring. But we are tentatively planning an instructor appreciation event September 21st. It's a Wednesday, September 21st from 3 to 5 at the Washington Duke. You'll be getting an email shortly about that. But you'll all be invited, and you know, we'll be wearing masks and there will be food and drink. So we're kind of, you know, walking the tightrope there, but that is the plan right now. Alan and his volunteers put out an instructor newsletter 4 times a year. This relists the 3 websites, Vicki, that are helpful to you. Again, the reason that there are 3 is the OLLI at Duke Instructor PB Works one was one that was developed several years ago for instructors. We just don't have the ability to update our own website in real time and build it out. And so we've developed a number of, I call them like underground, you know, websites. And we're hoping, you know, with the website redesign, we can integrate all this information on our website. But right now, we really enjoy being able to control what's on it, how quickly we update it, and provide additional resources to you. And you're always welcome to email olli@duke.edu if you have any questions about where you can find certain issues, answers to your questions.
Chris, I'll also put my email address in the chat, and
Okay.
I'm happy to help as I can.
Great. And this highlights some of the things that Alan was mentioning earlier. I think most of you already know that there is a court website building service for OLLI, and I think you were able to select whether or not you wanted a volunteer to help you. We're finding that instructors and our members really find it helpful to have almost like a bulletin board to post additional links and articles that even other members volunteer and suggest. And it helps build a resource of materials that we find our members really enjoy visiting after class is over. I want to bring your attention to this instructor coaching service. One of the things that I find interesting is sometimes it's the most experienced professors and instructors that seek Alan out because they know they can always learn something from another instructor. And he has taught in the Master's in Teaching program at Duke. He was a principal, he was administrator in Durham Public Schools, taught in high school for many years, and really one of our most popular instructors. He boasts some of the highest enrollment every term. And we value our small classes, seminar classes too, but I say that just because I think Alan, we feel very grateful to have Alan as a resource and encourage you to call on him if you have questions.
Chris, one little correction. I was never a principal. I was one of those evil central office bureaucrats.
Okay.
But I was a teacher educator for 40 years.
Right. Okay. But you've been in the trenches for sure. Yes. Thank you. So these are some other resources for you. Again, it gives you all of our emails to be in touch, and olli@duke.edu is really the fastest way to get an answer to your question.
Chris, I do have another question. With regard to the moderators, given that our program is very much a hands-on workshop where it's as much about discovery rather than learning stuff, right? I mean, you know, it's might be different from what the moderator might be used to. And I'm just wondering if it would be worthwhile once we get moderators assigned that I could have a conversation or one-on-one just chat to talk about the atmosphere and what we're really wanting to accomplish in our 3 sessions.
Absolutely. We encourage you to reach out to them. You will meet them in advance for the rehearsal, but we encourage you to talk in advance about that. We have lots of hands-on art courses. We have a number of other type of participatory courses so we don't, our moderators don't assume one size fits all.
Okay.
Jeff, did you want to respond to that?
Okay, yes, I guess I'd just probably be reiterating what Chris just said, but we don't have a one-size-fits-all approach for our moderators. And it is important that we, like Alan referred to earlier, we look at this as a team, but especially between the moderator and the instructor. We encourage you to have conversations before you go to the rehearsal, and just to be really clear on how a moderator can support you, and be responsive. Yeah, that's just, so we do encourage that kind of developing that relationship.
Great.
Perfect. I just wanted to make sure that was built into the process, and I'm not surprised that it is. Thanks.
Also, the moderator is enrolled in the class. They don't pay to be a student in the class, but anything you send out to the participants will automatically go to the moderator as well.
Great.
And I think they can be especially valuable to new instructors, and just, again, being a sounding board, giving you ideas, giving you some context, and also just help problem solving. If you need answers or have questions about things, they can help you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, I'm kind of reiterating, we're touching back on the whole issue of classroom challenges in terms of, conversations and discussions. We do have a number of conversations that around policy and, politics that can get heated. But I really want to reiterate the importance of managing, your moderator will help answer questions, facilitate, the Q&A. But it's really your role to step in if you believe one member is dominating in ways that are unfair. I've had instructors email students afterwards and say, can we have a conversation? One of the other strategies we found it works well is to just say, for those of you who haven't shared, does anyone have any questions? And that often will give a gentle invitation to that person to check how many times they've shared and participated. So I think that's helpful to keep in mind. Many of you are veteran instructors and have taught in a variety of settings. We have a number of folks who are, again, artists or newly retired professionals who are teaching from their passion. So we have a couple of suggestions here. It always helps to have a plan B during, especially during COVID. We've had folks who were planning to use 2 screens and at the last minute weren't able to. So it's really helpful to have a plan B. Let's see. We've had instructors who have internet issues in terms of capacity. And so every once in a while, we've had folks who've had to teach without their camera on. Again, rare, but it's always good to have some strategies and think through some of the different contingencies. So these are just a few reminders. You can sign up for a one-on-one prep check. And again, this link will be in the PowerPoint. There will be an email going out inviting you to submit your course website URL to the OLLI office. And if you just respond to that email, we'll make sure it gets loaded into the student portal. And that way you won't have students repeatedly asking you for the website, or you can refer to them, just redirect them back to the student portal. That will reduce your workload and email correspondence. We do encourage you to prepare an introductory email to your students. We talked a little bit about that earlier, but it really, our members get really excited. It's early August and I'm getting a lot of emails about, what are the chances of me getting in this particular class? I would imagine it's really popular. And so our members are really excited about coming back. I would say what fall enrollment will look like is a big question mark. We had historically very light enrollment for the spring. I think that was partly because of, people were ready to travel. but it's unclear, at least in person, I should say we had historically light enrollment. But, I think this fall, that usually is our strongest term, fall, and then winter is probably a close second. Okay. And the important thing is just to remember this is all just about a love of learning and for sharing your joy. We wanted to give Ruth and Mitch, I'll start with Ruth, an opportunity to share some, strategies and counsel for first-time instructors. Ruth.
Thanks, Chris. Good morning, everyone. I teach art history classes at OLLI. I've been teaching for, I think, a little over 10 years for OLLI, about 20 classes. So I've taught a lot and really enjoy the program. And so I have a couple of tips that I would be happy to share, and they're probably things that you've heard, but maybe could benefit from hearing again. One of them is something that I've learned, and that is to slow down. And by that, I mean, as somebody who taught at a university before, I thought when I first started teaching at OLLI that I had to cover a certain amount of material. And I've learned that that is not the goal. If it's not covered in class, it won't be on the exam, which of course is funny since we don't have exams. But I think that OLLI students can get their information from lots of sources. We've all learned from Chris that they're very highly educated. They can read books, they can go on websites. So in my opinion, what they're looking for from OLLI is an opportunity to have an engaging learning experience, conversations. And so as Nancy Capaccio can tell you, because I've been lucky enough to have her as my moderator for a number of classes, I totally fail at one of our success tips, which was cover content in the allotted time. I often do not cover the content in the allotted time, but that's okay because we just continue on. To me, it's much more valuable to have a spirited conversation about an issue of why women are not successful in the art place, even in the 20th century, or whatever our conversation is. And I would encourage you to ask provocative questions and leave lots of room for those kinds of interactions between students and between you and the students. And sometimes that means having awkward silences. And I've also gotten a lot better at leaving awkward silences because eventually somebody, if you ask a question, eventually somebody will answer it. So if you can hold out, they will take pity on you and jump right in, whether it's virtual or in person. So that's my tip number one, and that was awfully long. But tip number two is shorter, and that is use OLLI's resources. When I first started at OLLI, we did not have any of these resources. We were kind of all doing our own thing. At least that was my experience. Maybe there was some resources that I just was ignorant about, but I just, it felt like we were all in our own little world. But now we have so many great resources. So use those, reach out, even if it's a particular thing, like I can't remember how to, put a video into my PowerPoint or whatever it is. It's great, use Dan's services and his team for your website, even if it's just, I need to add this to my website and I forget how to do it. So those resources are fantastic, and it's a shame not to use them. So those are my tips.
I want to just thank you, Ruth. I want to give a shout out to all the volunteers who, one, created the Instructor Relations Committee and built these resources. I want to be really clear. This is not something the OLLI staff did. This grew out of instructors' desire to share what they learned and what was helpful, and enrolling some volunteers in building that. It's a big change, and I think it really happened about 10 years ago with some early volunteers, Mike Bonneman, who founded Instructor Relations. and have made fabulous contributions. Mitch.
Good morning, everybody. I'm a neurologist who retired after 40 years of practice 2 years ago. I trained at Duke in the 70s, and I love teaching medical students and physicians over the years. Retirement was harder for me to adjust to than I thought, and OLLI has been just plain fun. I got into OLLI 2 years ago. I did a course on art history and neurology, and then a second course on demystifying neurology, which I repeated at the OLLI at NC State live. And I'm doing a program coming up in the fall on the legacy of Oliver Sacks. It's hard to know what else to say from what's already been said, but my best advice to new instructors is have fun. This is OLLI at Duke is just a gas. First of all your students, this is an elective. It's not a required course. They want to be there and they're dying to learn. I've actually had both of my courses. I've had so many positive feedback comments from the audience that I've already included them in my slides for future talks. So I've really gotten that. I've made some new friends from this slide, from giving these slides. So it's really a wonderful experience to engage yourself and work with you. We'll work with everybody. The OLLI staff is phenomenal. There is no technical problem they can't solve. So, Bettina's good, Chris is good, Beth is good, everyone's good. So, and we've got, just an amazing set of resources. So I just think doing the OLLI at Duke, to me, has been a real lifesaver. It's a lot of fun, it's challenging, and I've learned a lot myself in preparing these talks. So thank you for the opportunity to be an OLLI instructor, and I look forward to further work in the future.
Mitch, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I do want to let you know we have 7 part-time staff who support most of the online classes, and we always have 2 staff members at JRC in addition to Kathy Parrish. It's important to keep in mind these folks are equally as accomplished as many of our instructors. Some folks make the mistake of underestimating their capabilities, and I will say with Bettina's leadership, she has really helped share a lot of common problem-solving strategies across the platform among all our staff. So it's interesting, some instructors early on had difficulty taking guidance from Bettina. One, she's younger, and I kept saying, what about 30-somethings do you not understand that they know more about technology than we do? And also, even those of us who aren't in our 30s, we've been learning. I was probably more technically proficient 18 months ago than I was now, but I am now on Zoom. But there are great resources. We have a retired CPA who worked for a Fortune 100 company. We have people who worked in grants administration at Duke Med and Sanford Institute. We have several retired teachers who are nationally board certified with master's degrees. Jay has 2 master's degrees. So this is a happy place to work at Duke, and people really value the community and the respect that they are accorded. And I can tell you, we're not allowed to pay them enough. So feeling a sense of colleagueship and community with you is really valuable, and it helps us keep people longer. I will tell you, I think Beth Bowling's one of our folks we've had who's worked for OLLI 10 or 11 years. So it says a lot about this community, and we're inviting you to help us continue, the level of professionalism and respect and building community. Beth, did you want to say something?
Yes, thank you, Chris. I wanted to kind of circle back to something that Ruth was talking about kind of the pace slowing down, not being, being flexible with your scheduling. I will say one thing that we hear, and about particularly we've noticed it with first-time instructors for our program, is the instructor wanted to cover too much information. That course shouldn't have been 5 weeks. That course should have been 7 weeks. That course should have, so kind of pay attention to the pacing. And even if you have to adjust, like Ruth said, you might not cover everything. I think that the students will be more satisfied if they feel that you adequately covered what you did cover, as opposed to cramming in too much and talking too fast so they don't know what really happened. And then, so thank you for making that point, Ruth. I think that is really critical for new instructors.
Great, great. It sometimes takes teaching a class 2 or 3 times to really get your groove. But I think being flexible and allowing the students to direct the learning and allow their questions to help guide things will ensure a really meaningful and satisfying learning experience for everyone. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you so much for attending. We really appreciate your time and attention, and we are deeply grateful to you for teaching and sharing your passion and interest with the OLLI community, and look forward to seeing you in the classroom, real or virtual, in the next few weeks.
Great.
All right, super.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Ciao.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey, Nancy, stay on. I got an answer.